Good evening, everyone. My name's Arsh Ellahi. Hope you're well. It's Sunday evening. It is Sunday, the 26th of June at 8 p.m. All right, what a week we've had. Well, first of all, we've got a very good friend and business partner online. Justin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just got here, Arsh. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate. You've
And
had a
how's
big weekend
everybody
yourself.
else? Yeah, I'm all right. We've just finished. I literally just walked in here from a long weekend workshop, so it's pretty good.
Indeed, right. Okay, so we're running an emergency webinar tonight. And the reason why we're running an emergency webinar is because obviously with all the news that's happened this week, it's been a pretty eventful week, but more importantly, a pretty historic week, which is going to affect, without a doubt, every single person in the UK and in Europe. So we thought, well, what better way can we do it than by running a webinar, informing people, especially in property, that the world is not over. And let's get that straight from the start. The world goes on. Every day we go out and we make it happen. And tonight we're going to be sharing with you a strategy that obviously we've been doing for a short while, but not many people have cottoned onto it. But more importantly, how this can work extremely well moving on. Justin, you happy to share some of your secrets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you crack on and just pull me into it when you want me to share some bits, Ash.
Okay. Perfect. So just so that I know that we've got everyone online and we're in the right place, would you mind just saying a quick hello to us and just more importantly, just letting us know what your experience is with property? Have we got people with complete beginners or we've got people who've got massive portfolios? Regardless of what your strategy is, just let me know so that I can keep an eye on and making sure that this webinar is very much catered according to you guys. So moving forward, a little nothing major about me. My name's Arsh Ellahi. I've got a group of 12 property companies with my business partner and brother Aki Ellahi, together with landlords and letting agents. We've been letting property since 1973. Got well in excess of 650 tenants now. Majority of them are on benefits. We've got a 100% rent collection record and a very high 98% occupancy rate. Um, Okay, so if you've never seen me or never heard of me speak before, I'm on the left-hand side, and if you've never seen my brother, there he is on the right. So, who is Arsh Ellahi? I'm a property speaker. I'm an author of an award-winning book called Boom Bust and Back Again. I'm a property trainer. I'm a landlord, investor. I'm a franchisor of a letting agency, as well as, well, you could call me a bit of a TV celebrity. I appeared on one program called Britain's Benefit Tenants on the 30th of March, 2015. But that's enough about me. So we've got I would call him a serial entrepreneur online. His name's Justin Whittemore. Now, Justin, just like I've done, you can give us a brief background. Who are you? What have you done? And why are you online tonight?
Fantastic. Okay, just to really keep it quite quick tonight, Ash. Um, well, as you say, I'm an entrepreneur. I call myself a property entrepreneur, really. I specialise in property and strategies where I can make as much money out of properties as quickly as I can. Cash flow models, flipping properties, and so on. Previous my background, I'm ex-forces, came out of the forces and drove lorries for a while. Got bored of lorries and jumped out the truck one day. Went down, brought a suit from Marks and Spencers, and walked into every single estate agent and asked for a job, and I got offered every single one. So that was my start into property. I grew through that into a senior manager, a senior negotiator, senior manager, and an area manager very quickly, and decided property was for me. Forward that on, in 2003 we started out my own letting and sales agency, and we grew to #1 agents within 12 months because of our marketing and sales skills, holding over 42% of the market share, which is, if anyone has letting agency or sales agency will know that is absolutely, out of this world. And we continue to do so. We opened multiple offices and grew. However, in 2007, everything went bang, and I lost everything, or pretty much everything. I managed to batten the hatches down and recoup, and that's where I found rent to rent. What do I do now? I specialise, I still have my lettings agency and my sales agency. That's all leveraged out now. I don't have anything to do with that company anymore. I still own it, but I have nothing to do with it. I specialise now in cash flow models, rent to rent, HMOs, and service departments, which we're going to be talking about tonight. What has fired me on to do that, because I like things, I like the nice things in life which I lost, you know, that's one of the things that fires me on. But you've got to have your reason why, and you see the pictures here. These are my reasons why. We have my beautiful wife there, Tori. She's the mastermind behind the service department. She runs that, you know, very tight ship on that. And we have my 3 children, Amelia 13, Finlay 8, coming up to 9, and Charlie May, who's 7. All extraordinary little children, and all have their own talents. As you can see there, Finn, he's an excellent rugby player, plays for the Saints Academy and Aylesbury. He also, next weekend, grades for his black belt at mixed martial arts. If he passes that, not if, actually I shouldn't say that, he'd beat me up for that, when he passes that, he'll be one of the youngest in the country to be a black belt at that level. So that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, these children that just don't give up. And you know, I just want to use one quote, Arsh, before we move on from that. I asked Finn not so long back, what's a white belt? What's a black belt? Because every belt's got its own meaning. And I said to him, Finn, what does a black belt mean? What does it mean? Because they all have their own meanings. And it's not actually the meaning of the belt, what the answer he gave me. He just looked me straight in the face and said, Dad, it's a white belt that never gave up. And that summed it up. So that's my why, and that's about me.
Fantastic. As you can see, that Justin's got a lot of passion, and if you and believe it or not, Tracy's just come online. She goes, Justin, you're an all-round nice guy, all-round nice, stroke good guy too. So fantastic. So
Oh,
a few
thanks,
people.
Katie.
So, like I say, Justin's very passionate about what he does. He's very passionate about his family, and there's his driving force. Now, that's enough about us, because the webinar's not about us. The webinar's about you guys at home. What's your why? Why are you here tonight? Now, let's just give you some examples. Let's have a look at some of the pictures on screen. We've got family. We've got a massive open golf park there. And then also we've got a massive open road. What would you do if someone was to give you a load of time and a load of money? What would you do with it? Would you spend it with your time? Would you spend it with your family? Would you spend it abroad? Would you spend it traveling? Would you spend it trying to help poverty around the world? If you wouldn't mind, can you tell us what your ambitions are, why you want to do this, why you want to get involved in property. So whilst we're just waiting on some of those questions there. Now, we've got a lot to get through. We're going to finish the webinar no later than 9:30. Last week we did a webinar, and as I said, Justin can talk for England. We're online for just over 2 hours, and even though you guys loved it, we were both shattered. So we are going to finish at 9:30, no later than 9:30. That gives us 90 minutes to get through a shed load of content as well as your questions. So, okay, so Kay's coming in, but my husband has been working nights for years, and I want to bring him out of that and into property with me full time. Okay, so a lot of people saying that I want to have a great time with my wife and my baby to come. More time, pick up the kids, and take off whenever, wherever. So freedom and family seems to be pretty much the engineering gears behind tonight's webinar. So fantastic. Now, Justin runs a training company called the Intelligent Property Academy. Justin, would you mind just talking briefly about the 3 people?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. As you see on the left-hand side of the screen is Mark Beale. Mark Beale is my business partner. Extraordinary man. Again, ex-military. In the profiles, he is, I can't remember what the profile, but we're 2 different profiles. So our matchings in business work hand in hand. They work absolutely brilliant. He's a creator, I think. I think that's what he is. Whereas I'm a deal maker. Ultimately, Mark, again, ex-military, found that he could make more money from property. And when he started flipping properties and making more money from properties, he actually left the military. However, again, in 2007, he nearly lost everything. And due to his military background and his pride, he clawed it back. And he clawed this back through a different strategy within the rent-to-rent strategy. His strategy is a serviced accommodation, but for corporate clients throughout the UK. Now, he runs throughout the UK over 130 units throughout the UK, generating a rent roll of over £3 million a year. Now, from someone that was nearly broke and 7 years down the line that is absolutely incredible. A very, very special man indeed. In the middle there, we have Ross Molyneux. Now, Ross has been with us for a long time. Ross is our lead deal sourcer. Basically, Ross used to find us all of our deals. He would be generating on rent-to-rent deals for Mark's business between 15 and 20 deals a month. That's right, 15 to 20 rent-to-rent deals a month Ross was creating. What we do now, he's part of our sales, our training team. He trains our individuals, whether it be on service department deal sourcing or HMO deal sourcing. Ross trains the people up. So we teach you the ideas and how to do it and what to do, etc., etc. Then we release Ross to you, who then trains you fully on that. Absolutely amazing, amazing deal sourcer. Then on the right-hand side, we have Sarah Poynton. Sarah Poynton is quite new to the team. She's actually a JV partner with myself and Milton Keynes. And we basically taught Sarah how to source and find properties from anywhere in the world, And now Sarah basically finds properties, deals them, packages them up, and sells them anywhere in the world, from England to Scotland to Wales to Ireland to Nova Scotia to Canada, Spain, anywhere, Turkey, anywhere. She will find deals and she will sell them. Now, what's special about what she does? Well, she does it from anywhere. As long as she has a mobile phone and a laptop and internet, she does these deals anywhere. Her big reason why was that she couldn't afford a proper honeymoon with her husband when she got married. So her reason why was she wanted to travel around the world with her husband and not have to worry about money or the bills being paid or money coming in or losing money from an employer. Now, last Monday she realised her reason why, and she left England with a laptop and her husband, in that order, and she's now in Jordan visiting family. She's then flying into Bangkok, then Thailand or other parts of Thailand, and then to Australia, then somewhere else, Hawaii, then back over to Los Angeles, LA, that is LA, Las Vegas, then across America, and then back home. Now, I have been talking to her on email and messenger today about deals, and while she's traveling, she's doing deals from all around the world. And the great thing about this is she's going to be documenting it all as well. So that's my team, and there you are, Arsh. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So as you can see, that this strategy that we're going to be talking about tonight pretty much makes you very much a hands-off investor. So, and the reason why I say that is that I always use this picture in all my slides because I'm a big believer is that you're never financially free until you've actually paid off all your loans and all your debts. And until then, you always, what I would consider, you would always have a ball and chain attached to the bank because they own the deeds to your property. So the strategy that we're going to be talking about tonight is cash flow, very cash flow rich. And the fact is that once you've got that cash flow, you decide what you do with it. You may want to go on holiday with your family, like you've told me that you already want to do. You may want to decide to pay down debt. Now, for me personally, paying down debt is a massive part of my strategy. I've got hundreds of units all around the country that we rent out. Now, as far as I'm concerned, until I've actually paid those off, I'm not actually financially free. So what I do with all our profits, I do pay off debt, and we're now quite lowly geared, and I've got a point of time. Now, do you mind if I ask you guys online at home? Do you know the date and the time that you're going to retire? And if you do, would you mind telling me what that is? Because my date is the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Now, why can I be so concise? Because I've set all my gearing to expire on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Because the moment it hits midnight, I turn 45 years old, which means it's the time that I retire. All my debts will be zero, and then all my property will then transfer into my daughter's names, which means that I've done my job as a father. I've provided them for them and their children thereafter. And that's the whole point of being financially free, so that we can help our family, we can help everyone else. So as someone Viggy's come in who's put 16th of October 2026, and I'm so proud that people have got this date in their mind. If they haven't, really, you should start to think about what it is, because just like Justin, I nearly went bust back in 2006, 2007. And that's why I wrote the book, Boom, Bust and Back Again. I had all the good times prior to the crash. When it went bust, it went really bad. But then I'm booming back again. And the reason why I've done that, I've decided to restructure all my debt, is so that I never get back to those dark ages again. Because in the bad times, they really were bad. So it's all about cash flow for me. Everything that we do has to be about cash flow. And that's why me and Justin get on so well, because we are both cash flow led investors. And when we talk about cash flow, I'm assuming that, well, I like to think that I've got a short, medium, and a long-term business strategy. My short-term business is something which I will create cash flow from, and that's got to produce enough or sufficient income so that I can sustain my medium and my long-term goals. Now, I'm hoping that that all resonates with all of you. So my short-term could be cash flow. My medium-term could be something like a development opportunity, which will then fund my long-term acquisitions, which could be my buy-to-lets, which I call the let and forget. And because I know that they're on repayment, they will literally just keep paying themselves down, and then eventually they will then be passed on to my daughters, and then it all kind of works. But I need that cash flow initially to work on that. And that's when I will be financially free. That's when the ball and chain will be removed from my neck, because at the moment, as it stands, I don't think I've got that, admittedly. So that's the intro part of the webinar. Now let's get down to the meat. Now, this week has shook the world left, right, and centre. Would you agree? Whoever thought that we would vote to leave? And as a result of that, we've also lost our Prime Minister, David Cameron. Some could say that as a good thing, some could say that as a bad thing. And you're more than welcome to air your thoughts and your comments in the comments box. Now, Justin, what's your thoughts on Brexit?
Personally, I don't think it was ideal. However, because of how my brain works, I will always look to opportunities within a dark cloud. I'll always look for a silver lining underneath a dark cloud. So, yeah, as much as I don't think it is the ideal thing for the country, I think if we dwell on it and worry too much about it, we will certainly bring forward a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it will come true. I think what we need to do is realise that there are going to be opportunities within this, and we need to expose them, explore them, and go for it. You know, the same as anything. You know, people will make money, a lot of money, in a recession. Now, I'm not going to say there's going to be one of those, but I'm just giving you an example. I think people are looking far too much into it. You know, we are. I have to say this, guys. We are a great nation, a great country, and we will make it okay. But there are going to be some massive ups and downs within that time. We've just got to make sure we understand those ups and maximise on the back end of them.
Could I just say one thing, Justin? Amen. We are a great country, we are a great nation, and we will get over it. You know,
Yeah,
we survived before the EU, we will survive after the EU. But what we've got to do is tread water in between and figure out what we can do in order to make money from it. So here's what happened this week. So as a result of the Brexit, the pound plummeted. It started to recover, and as a result, they're saying that we're going to fall into recession. Now, naturally, recession is not always a good thing. It depends on how you look at it. But then we have to look at the upscale a bit. And so what's going to happen? The pound is weak. That means that when we go abroad, what's going to happen? Everything's going to become a lot more expensive. Imports are going to become a lot more expensive. Our exports are going to be a lot cheaper to other countries, external worldwide. Naturally, that's going to have a massive impact on our profits. But then on the plus side of it, it means that we now start to look at our home market and start to think, well, okay, we can't buy externally anymore because it's so expensive. What can we do that's going to be homegrown? And that's why when I saw this news, I thought, okay, first thing that we've got to start doing, especially in property, what do we need to survive? Naturally, one of our guilty pleasures is vacations. So with vacations, now if it's going to become a lot more expensive to go abroad, people are going to have to stay in the UK for vacations. And let's face it, we've got some fantastic locations in the UK. You know, regardless of what your thoughts are, we've got some beautiful places. And I went down to the south coast a couple of weeks ago when we had some decent weather. I went right down into the south coast, and it's a beautiful place. And one thing that Justin and I were going to talk about tonight is actually serviced accommodation. Because as a result of Brexit, more people are going to look to stay in the UK, which means as a result of that, there's going to be more of a need for accommodation and more of a need for people like Justin and I and Mark Beale and other service accommodation providers, as well as the hotels, to provide for that an affordable accommodation to keep the economy moving. Does that make sense so far? Justin, would you resonate with that?
absolutely, Arsh. Absolutely. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think still the UK. You know, I'm just going to go back to my childhood now. You know, a long time ago, and you know, some of the fondest moments that I have aren't abroad. They weren't in America. They weren't in Spain. They weren't in New York or anywhere. They were in Cornwall. And you know, they are the memories that have stuck in my head, and still today they're still there strong, to a point where like yourself, you know, a couple of weeks back, me, my family, and my wife's best friend and her family, like how we did with my parents, we all went down with our children to Bude in Cornwall, and we had the best week ever. We had the sun came with us. I got sunburnt. My wife looks like she's been in the Caribbean. My children look like they've been in the Caribbean. I'm the only silly bugger that got burnt. And you know what, Arsh? It was, you could be anywhere in the world when you've got the weather in this country. And to be honest, even as Brits, it doesn't matter if it's raining. Even you've got some of the most beautiful beaches, some of the most historic towns in this country and cities that people haven't seen.
But
And they want to start. Go on.
more importantly, we host some of the greatest events as well. Let's not
Oh,
forget that.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, some of the most, as you say, some of the greatest events in the world are hosted here.
So let's keep moving on, Justin. So, like I say, Brexit, not necessarily all doom and gloom as people assume. So tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you how you can easily exceed your job salary with property, even in a downfalling market, by producing 5 times the cash flow within the next 3 months. Now, guys, do you mind if I say, does that sound good or does that sound good? Now, we're not here to sell any dreams, by the way. All we're doing is we're showing you a load of examples and loads of different ways of how you can actually make money from property. And I like this quote, and I love sorry, I love this quote because it's a homegrown quote by homegrown UK ambassador Richard Branson, and the whole theme of tonight's webinar is homegrown and UK based, because that's what we've got to look for now, guys, in the economy. What can the UK produce for us? If someone offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. Would you agree with that, Justin?
Absolutely. I've got a really good example of that. Not as big as Richard Branson, obviously. But a few weeks back, we had a phone call from a huge employer in Milton Keynes that are contractors, and we had already helped them out with a few accommodation needs, and their phone call was along the lines of, "Hi Justin, how you doing? Will you provide fantastic accommodation? We need some spaces." And I was, "No problem at all. How many?" The answer was 62 men. And I was like, all right, okay. However, what we had to do was, I just said yes. Now, did we house all of them? No, we didn't house all of them. But I dealt with the ones that we had to, because the ones that came in literally were there like the next couple of days. And exactly that quote there, I took the opportunity and then went and sorted out afterwards. I dealt with it afterwards. I learned how to do it afterwards. So, fantastic quote.
Okay, keep moving on. So let's get straight into it now. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is serviced accommodation. It's not talking about HMOs. We're not talking about single lets, because yes, they are great cash flow strategies, but we can go one better than that. So Justin, what we're going to do, we're going to keep it very lean and to the point tonight. So in very simple terms, what is serviced accommodation?
Service accommodation is somewhere that someone can book for the night, 2 nights, 3 nights, a month, 2 months. It is a home from home. It's better than a hotel room, and it's used by a lot of corporate agents or even couples or families that are going to go away for a short break that don't want to be stuck in a hotel room and be bed bound in a hotel room. They don't want the upsell of the hotels. So in short, service accommodation is something that big corporate clients are not tied to. They don't have to be tied to a 6-month contract or a 3-month contract. They can have this by the night or by the week or by the month. So it just offers so many different opportunities for employees, for families and couples. And don't forget, you know, as I'm a family of 5. Now, when we go away anywhere to get we can't just go to a hotel and get a room for 5 people. You know, we have to spend more money. So a serviced apartment or accommodation gives us that opportunity and that luxury.
Okay, great. So keep moving on then, just. So service accommodation. Now, Justin, would you mind this is one of your examples actually that I've used
Yeah.
for tonight.
Okay.
So just
Okay.
where are all your service accommodations based?
Yeah, so our service accommodations are based in central Milton Keynes.
Okay,
Uh,
great. And now I'm gonna dangle the carrot here, Justin, because how many units do you have?
in total, between the whole lot that we look after, there's around 42.
Okay, so 42. They're all apartments. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
and
Now,
no, actually, no, Arsh, I'm telling you a little bit of fib there. No, summer houses as well, the HMOs type properties that we look after.
okay, great. Now, Justin, just out of curiosity, out of those 42 units that you've got there for service accommodation, how many of those do you own? And be truthful here, because how many have you acquired through the rent-to-rent strategy? How many have you got on lease options?
I would say if we're looking at the rent-to-rent strategy, the majority of them are on the rent-to-rent strategy. There are some with like JV partners and a couple that we control.
Okay, great. Now, the reason why I say that is because this is quite important stuff. Because people will automatically assume that when you have to do a strategy like this, you have to own the property. Now, technically speaking, let's just use an average that a service accommodation, sorry, a two-bedroom apartment in Milton Keynes would be what, circa 200 grand?
Probably more, Arsh, to be honest with you. A one bedroom will probably set you back about 225, and the two bedrooms will probably set you back getting on for 270 at the moment,
Okay.
275.
So I'm just going to use two, sorry, I've just got my calculator out here because I didn't think about doing this. So 200, so that means that technically speaking, you're controlling a portfolio of just under 11.5 million pounds.
Correct.
Right, okay. Is that right? 0.25. Now, Justin, if you wanted to buy that, well, in order for you to have got that portfolio previously, you would have needed a deposit, just as a mortgage deposit of just short of £3 million.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Now,
have happened.
people automatically assume that you need to buy property in order to make money from property. Now, here's the thing, guys. Tonight, we're going to tell you that you do not need money to get involved in property. Now, that is such a powerful quote that I always say. All you need is the mindset and the people to push you behind there. Now, Justin, this is a property that you don't own. I'm assuming you don't own this property. This two-bedroom
No, no,
apartment.
everything you're going to see is everything that we're talking about this evening is all rent to rent. We're going to show you how you can do this without owning a property.
Okay, so this is a two-bedroom apartment in Milton Keynes, and you've got a minimum 3 night let. So if someone wants it for one night, they can't rent it. Do you agree?
Yeah, you can't, yeah, absolutely. We have always, on all of our apartments, we have a minimum of three. Would you like me to explain why?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, the minimum of 3 nights is because if you get a booking on the Wednesday or on the Tuesday or on the Thursday, or whichever particular day it may be within a week, just for one night, it completely wipes your week out. And your occupancy rate will therefore come down over the month because you're just not managing your apartments strict enough. So you need a minimum of 3 nights. That's in my opinion. Some of our competitors, Arsh, have a minimum of 28 nights, believe it or not. You cannot rent one of their properties unless you have a minimum of 28 nights.
Wow. So 28 nights, and let's just assume that the average, well, you're charging in this location £150 per night. Now, let's just say even if you're charging 30 quid a night. Now, 30 quid a night, let's say 30 nights, that's 900, is that £900? Let me have a quick, sorry, my maths isn't the greatest on a Sunday evening. So 30, let's try times 30 by 30, it's £900 a month. Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, if it was a standard single let two-bedroom mid-terrace house that you would previously been renting for 450 or 500, you've pretty much doubled up on your rent. Now, but going back to the example here, you've got a minimum 3 night let. You're charging £150 per night. You've got a 100% occupancy rate in this location in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Naturally, because it's quite a good location, commuter path into London. There's quite a lot of events happening in Milton Keynes. So location-wise, it's great. And now you've
Yeah,
got a corporate client who have taken it on until November 2016. Is that
correct.
correct?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're paying you £770 per week, which
Absolutely.
gives
Go on, sorry.
Justin a rental income of £3,080, whereas previously he would have been renting this out on a single let at £950 per month. Now, guys, if you do the maths, it's very easy to see that Justin has tripled his rental income by not doing a great deal more. So we'll go into what he has to do. So naturally, he has to furnish them, and he is going to make sure that the accommodation is up to a decent standard. But naturally, that's stuff that we would do for HMOs anyway. Would you agree? So, guys, here's what we're doing. We're adapting our mindset to a different sector and a new way of thinking about getting into property. Tracy's coming straight away with a question. She goes, do you have to have more than one to enable to make a profit? No, because technically speaking, Tracy, all you need is one unit. Technically speaking, let's just work on this example here. Let's say that Justin, I don't know, for argument's sake, Justin, give us a ballpark figure. What's the kind of rent that you're paying the landlord for this apartment?
Well, to be honest, that is the 950 is the rent that we're paying the landlord. Also, Ash, I've devised a system, certainly which I call the Yes Machine, which enables us to get more money off of the landlord. So very often I'm able to get between 150 and £200 a month off the landlord by using a certain pattern of systems, sales systems that I use to be able to do that, which creates what I call the Yes Machine. Um,
But we're going to be telling people about the Yes Machine. Are we going to allow people to use the Yes Machine a little later on?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah, so don't worry, we're going to go into that. I'm very cautious of time tonight, my friend.
yeah.
So we're going to keep moving on. So Oliver said, well, how do we get corporate clients? And what about Amjad's coming in and said, what about the rates in Yorkshire? Now, naturally, the rates will fluctuate from location to location. Now, for argument's sake, you could charge as little as 28 to £30 a night. And there's Justin, and in some scenarios, Justin's getting £150 a night. And if you go into the capital, that could even double to £300 per night. And it all depends on certain things, like certain events and certain locations. Now, uh, Justin mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago is that when they get certain events, Justin, if I remember correctly, is it Silverstone? That's not too far
Yeah,
away
so,
from.
July the 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th of July is Grand Prix weekend here.
Okay, so on scenarios where what do you charge on average a night there, or what do you charge a week there?
The We don't charge a week. We don't allow that to happen. We box that weekend off. We keep them back for a little while to make when the oxygen. We do it in a certain way that we allow the occupancy rates within the local area to go sky high, and then we release the dates and the apartments. Now we then our rooms for a one bedroom go up to about 385, and the two bedrooms go over £400 a night.
Wow. So £400 a night for a two-bedroom apartment. And you've got to remember, guys, now it's no different. Now, David's come back and he thought, why pay £150 per night when it's cheaper in a hotel? Now, David, that's a great question. It's a great question because technically speaking, yes, you can go into any Premier Inn, any travel lodge and pay £28 a night. Now, let's just imagine scenarios like, for argument's sake, Justin and I both got families. We don't want to stop in. We don't want to stop in a Premier Travel Lodge where we can't cook our own foods, and we don't want to be conformed to having to eat out consistently. Now, when I like to go away, I like to go away comfort from home comfort to home comfort, which means that if I can then go to serviced accommodation where we can cook and we can relax in a lounge, we can have our own bedroom, well, we can have the bedrooms, etc. And just imagine now, great example for this, Centre Parks. Have you ever been to Centre Parks? Have you ever been to the log cabins there? It's a phenomenal concept, and that is no different to serviced accommodations. You leave your home, you pack your car, you pull up outside your log cabin, and in Centre Parks, you're paying easily £400 a night. You have to bring your own food, you cook, you get to watch, you're in a fantastic environment. Now, Justin, would you agree Centre Parks is the perfect example for a service
Yeah,
accommodation?
it is absolutely a great example. You pay well over the odds for Centre Parks, but if I can just go back, Arsh, quickly, and I know you would want to keep me off it a little bit, but if I just go back to answer that question a little bit better, why would someone say, well, actually, it's certainly in my area during the week, the Premier Lodge, Premier Inn, and the Travel Lodge and places like that aren't that much less than our apartments during the week. Monday to Friday, hotel and service apartment rates are more expensive than weekends. Why? Because of corporate stays. Corporate stays will stay in your apartments because if you think about it, and we're saying one's cheaper than the other, when in fact it's not. The corporates look at it is they can put two men in an apartment, or even if they put one man in an apartment, they save costs on restaurant bills because in an apartment they can go and cook for themselves rather than having to spend expenses on restaurants. So if you actually work it out over the course of a time, a serviced apartment actually works out cheaper for the corporate companies than the travel lodges, the Jury's Inn, the holiday inns and whatever. They actually work out cheaper for the corporate companies who ultimately are paying the bills.
Fantastic. Great, great. And like I said, I think this has sparked off a bit of a conversation because questions are coming in quick,
Brilliant.
well fast. So it's great because we're going to keep moving on. Don't worry, we're going to answer your questions. Now, the great thing with service accommodation is that normal houses and flats can actually be converted into can be used into service accommodation. Again, key thing to it is location. And what else would you say key things to turn normal houses and flats into service accommodation, Justin?
Sorry, say again, Arsh, you broke up then.
So, what would you say are the key factors for turning a normal flat or a house into a service accommodation?
The key factors, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, after you.
No, you're breaking up again. The key factors as in?
How can we turn it into a normal house and a flat into a serviced accommodation unit?
The key factors, we need to be looking at the demand, what's in our areas for that. You know, i.e., is the key factor if you're in Cornwall, what's your clients? Well, your clients are going to be holiday based. So we need to look at the rates and everything there. If we're in my area or a lot of major cities and towns, we need to look at who's in those towns, who is going to be renting our properties. Certainly, if we are in the towns and cities, the key factor, what the types what we should be looking for would be luxury apartments. Why? It's because they're much easier to look after, and that is what our corporate base wants. Our corporate clients will want that type of thing. These are high-end management or analysts or whatever, and they want that type of property. Now, if we go further afield, and certainly some of the houses that I have on the outskirts, okay, now they are ideal for housing contractors. Yeah, gangs of guys that are, you know, these are builders that are putting great big projects in. So, you know, look for big building companies. That's actually Mark Beale's strategy. He houses contractors on a service accommodation basis all over the country, from the top end of Scotland to the bottom end of Britain, 130 units, and he looks to put between 4 and 5 men in each property on a service accommodation basis. Now, he will only use houses for that. Then we go down to the holiday cottages or apartments, again overlooking marinas and stuff like that. So really, most properties, I believe, will work for this, depending on your area.
Okay, let's keep moving forward. Because naturally, service accommodation, as we've already pretty much covered this point, it's similar to hotel accommodation, but we give it more of a comfort feel. Like I said, as Justin mentioned, is that in cities like Milton Keynes, hotels are pretty much the same cost as a service accommodation. But then when you look at the comfort factor, you're going to get a lot more benefits from, and not only that, you can actually, how many of you guys have actually been away with your friends and you outweigh the cost of getting lots of hotel rooms as opposed to one large apartment? Now, when I've been away on quite a few stag do's, we've always gone for a serviced apartment because we can sleep more in it, we can share the costs on it. And that's just an example of me using it as a consumer. So moving on, what's another benefit of service accommodation? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I used to watch a lot of Harry Enfield back in the day. And now, admittedly, I rent to a lot of people on benefits, and sometimes it can be a bit of a grind. Admittedly, I love them to bits because they are my customers. But it can be a bit of a grind because, yes, they've got a leaky tap or this, that, the bulb's gone or this, that, and the other. And you're consistent. Well, like I said, the ball and chain is firmly attached because you can always be on call. But with service accommodation, there is none of that because they are your customers. They are literally in for the night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, and that's it, they've gone. Then come in the next lot. They've gone. Then come in the next lot. In between that, obviously, there's services that need to be done. Places need to be cleaned. Places need to be maintained. Places need to make sure that they're checked in, checked out, ready for the next person. Pretty much just like a hotel would be. As you move, when you walk into a hotel room, the bed is made. The room is clean. the bathroom is spotless. Now with service accommodation, obviously you do a little bit more. You make sure that the kitchen's immaculate, everything's in place, the linen is already in place, ready for that next customer. Because as Justin said on one of our previous webinars, key to service accommodation is your reviews. The level of reviews you get will determine the success that you get in your service accommodation. All it takes, how many times have you guys checked on a website before booking a place and seeing what the reviews have said? And if there's been a negative review, have you thought, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to book that place? Justin, would you agree there?
Absolutely. And also, with your, let's say you do, because you will get negative reviews, but we actually pride ourselves, and for any that knows me on Facebook would have seen, time and time again, the review awards that my wife herself, because it's her that runs it all, has won. And we're above the 9 on all occasions. So, however, you will get sometimes a bad review, and you don't take it personally. But what you do, and this is what your customers will be looking for, is how you deal with that review. If you deal with it in a negative way, they will look upon you in a negative way. If you deal with it in a professional manner and a reasonable manner, that will be just as good as a good review, because they will look at you and think, actually, these guys do care, and I'm quite happy to go. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It makes perfect sense. Makes absolute perfect sense, because remember, customers will always, and remember, if you treat them well, customer retention. It costs a lot more money to go out and generate new customers as opposed to retaining customers. And I learned that a long time ago. Treat your customers well, and like all tenants, from time to time, tenants do leave me, but I know that I've treated them well. Guess why? They always return when they're in need of accommodation back to me. Now there's thousands of landlords in Wolverhampton that they could have gone to and probably even got cheaper accommodation, but they come back to me because they know that they're going to get a service with a smile, they're going to get respected as a tenant, as well as a customer and a friend. So keep moving on, guys. So with service accommodation, we don't have tenants, we have customers. They're going to be in for a short period of time, but in that time we need to make sure that their stay is a pleasant stay. Now, again, moving on, the difference between service accommodation and single lets is that, let's just say a tenant lives in your property for 6 months. Now, unfortunately, when they move in, we don't know how they're going to live. We can do as many checks on credit reports, reference reports, but that's not going to tell us a great deal about that person. It'll tell us enough that they may be creditworthy, but it's not going to tell us about the lifestyle that they lead. Now, when we leave, has anyone ever had a single let and it looks like that after they've left? They've decided just to up sticks and leave all their belongings behind. Now, unfortunately, the only person that has to bear the cost of that is now the landlord, which now has to come out of our cash flow. So we need to start thinking of other ways that we can actually, because if you do 2 or 3 of those a year and on a single let basis, guess what, guys? Your buy to let is just breaking even. And I don't know about you, but when I get involved in property, my aim is not just to break even, it's to make money. Now with service accommodation, believe it or not, everything is a calculated risk, because you take their credit card upon the booking. On the basis that your cleaners have been in and made sure that everything is spick and span and can do photograph inventories, guess what? If there's damage done to the apartment or to the serviced accommodation unit after that customer has left, you have the right to charge them for that damage on their credit card or whatever method that they've left. Now, there was a comment left on some of the social forum mediums, and someone's asking, well, someone's asked if they can pay cash. And Justin, do you want to cover this part? Because I know that you're quite well versed on this.
Oh, absolutely. No. The answer to that is that is education. That's why you seek education, so you understand the pitfalls within it. You never ever take cash. Why? Is because, let's say for instance you have some tenants that do that. Now, if they've paid 100, £150 for a room, £300 for 2 nights or whatever, do you think that will cover that damage? Well, no, it won't. So you have to have your systems in place. You have to have a credit card. We pre-authorize cards. You need their ID, etc., etc. You need your systems in place to be able to combat that. So if in eventuality you ever have this type of thing happen, which I'm not saying it will never happen, because you never know, you never know. But you've got a pre-authorized card that if that happens and it's in your terms and conditions that they once they've had it in an email, they've agreed to it. It basically states that once this, if any this happens, you can then charge their credit card with the amount with immediate effect. Now,
Sorry,
if
Justin, can
yeah,
I just stop you there? Someone's just come in and said that she's just lost sound. Can everyone else hear us and see the screens okay? If you wouldn't mind just saying a yes or no, that'd be great, please. That'd be okay. So everyone else can hear fine. So Tracy, just log is if you do lose for audio for whatever reason, log back out, log back in, and you should be okay. So sorry, Justin, please continue.
yeah. So basically, you've got their credit card details. You've pre-authorized it. You've got their permission in your terms and conditions to charge it if they create damage. Now, again, it's about setting the systems up. We have a certain pattern of system that really eradicates this. We have a check-in clerk, or someone that checks the people in. Now, that face value stops this type of thing happening. Again, it's about looking at your booking and seeing who's coming, who's not coming. If you've got a group of, look at their ages, look what they're coming for. If you've got a big rave going on, you're going to get quite a lot of bookings for that weekend. But how you combat that is you expand your amount of days, minimum days, so that will then blocks out those type of people. It's just how to work it. But ultimately, you have credit card.
Okay,
Depending
now,
on, just one
what,
quick
yeah,
one. Depending on what
what,
other portal you use. If you use Airbnb, they will actually insure you up to £1 million for damage.
okay, so just so that you know, I checked into a hotel, I think it was about 3 weeks ago in London. It's quite a nice hotel, and what they did is that they pre-charged or they locked out £1,500 on my credit card just to stay there for that one night. And believe it or not, guys, it makes me think, bloody hell, they've taken 1.5 grand off my card. Do you think I'm going to cause damage if I stop there that night? It pre-trains the mind to say, you know what, guys, these guys have already got it covered. Because if I cause any damage, that's what, I've just lost 1.5 grand. Not only that, they've got my credit card details that if anything goes in excess of 1.5 grand, they can take the rest of it as well. And that's the beauty of it, is because with service accommodation, you're paid in full before the person even turns up. Now, with tenants, I don't know what you know of the benefit market, or well, on standard ASTs, the council pay you 4 weeks in arrears. Now, professional tenants may pay a month in advance, but they don't pay before they get there. They want to view the property, then they want to look at it, then they want to think about it, then they may come back to you, and then you've got to do a reference check, then you've got to do a credit check, and all that process takes time. With service accommodation, they like it, they see it online, they book it online, they pay you in full before you even take the property off reserve. So, guys, it is very much a systemized business, and this is what I'm trying to get into: that we don't have to deal with the niggles and the battles that we have to with tenants. And here's the consumer benefits. It's the convenience of a hotel, but less expense for longer stays. It's a growing market due to the expense of staying in a hotel. There's more space and privacy and ability to cook your own meals. But here's the beauty. Now, with Brexit, naturally, wallets are going to get hit. People aren't going to go abroad anymore. The pound against the euro, what's that going to do? Is that going to make our holidays more expensive? People are going to have to stay in the UK for more based holidays, which means that there's going to be more of a demand for UK-based accommodation. So we've got to look at it from a supply and demand point of view. And the benefits of it from being a provider, it's a fully systemized business. Remember, once you've uploaded your stuff into places like Airbnb, Booking.com, etc., etc., it's fully systemized. You don't get involved with the booking of it. They do it all. So it's pretty much a no face-to-face interaction. But the beauty of it is that you get to create a lot more cash flow than traditional HMO property strategies, such as HMOs, traditional single lets. Justin, is there anything that you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, well, exactly what you've summed up there, Arsh. As long as you have the systems in place, I can think of no other strategy that will give you the instant return of what they give you. Think about it as well. You put the top there, it's a fully systemized business. And I think the key word I'm looking for there is business. Because, guys, think about this. This is a business and you have to treat it as a business. But what do you reckon? Do you think this business would be worth money? Let's say if you've got 20, 30 apartments that are creating X amount. Do you think that business is worth money? Well, I'm telling you now, yes, it's worth a lot of money. So there are so many benefits to this, but again, we could go on all night just describing these.
Okay, so keep moving on. So now we've told you a little bit about what we could do, but here's what you can do. Now, just so that we know, we've got a lot of questions which we will get through, guys. So don't panic. All you got to do is take your property as a single let, determine whether there's a demand for it, and we'll be showing you how to do that. Discover the proven system. Look at the planning, insurance, and business aspects of and the business rates. You're going to furnish it, and you're going to make sure that it's got Wi-Fi. You're going to advertise it on the appropriate platforms, and you just watch the bookings roll in. You don't do the viewings. You don't need to do the viewings as you would with a traditional HMO or single let strategy, and you enjoy the positive cash flow. Now, the question is, how can you get involved? It's quite simple, because all you need to do is these three things. Educate yourself on how to do the strategy effectively with someone who's already done it. Research and find your goldmine area. Now, someone's already put on one of the questions tonight is that, so that I'm based in London, but I'm thinking about doing this in Birmingham. Will it work? Now, the one thing that you've got to look at is a keyword is goldmine area. And as Justin has identified, his goldmine area is Milton Keynes. Now, Mark Bill has identified his goldmine area as the whole of the UK. And he's, from memory, I think he's actually going abroad with this as well. Now, there's nothing to say that this can't work in Ibiza. How many people flock to Ibiza every year? How many people flock to Barcelona? How many people flock to New York? How many people flock to LA, Miami, Australia, New Zealand? You name it, guys. New Delhi. Anywhere you think that people will go, this works all over the world. So it's not a UK-based strategy. Next thing you've got to do is take massive action. And you've got to have someone that will hopefully guide you.
Oh, Ash, can I just say something? Can I just say something? Just something else there. I was speaking to a gentleman last week, and he came up with his ideal plan was to get a serviced property in every city, i.e. in England, London, Barcelona, Madrid, every city that he's always wanted to go to, his plan is to get a serviced accommodation in every single one of those cities. And the reason why is, one, it will earn him money, but two, he'll have a free holiday in all of those cities wherever he wants to go. And
Fantastic.
I thought that was such a cool idea.
Fantastic. Okay. And that is a cool idea because, believe it or not, like I say, you don't have to own the property to do that. Now, me and my wife, we were looking at places in Dubai because that's somewhere that we like to go. We think it's a nice, friendly, family place to be. And, you know, when I started to look at this, originally we were buying it, and properties over there, UK sterling, £400,000 for a decent two-bedroom apartment. And when we started looking at it, we started looking at it from this strategy. So we'll do a rent-to-rent off the landlord, and then we can rent it out on a night or a weekly basis, and you would do a week or 2-week minimum in Dubai, and then we would just book out times as to when we would want to go, and we'd stay there, and it would be a free stay for us. So not only is this a business, but this is also a lifestyle strategy as well. So why don't more people do it? If it's so easy, why don't more people do it? Quite simply because they don't know how to do it. Or they come up with the excuses. We don't have the finances for a training course. We aren't willing to invest in a training course, or we've got the fear of the unknown or failure, or they don't understand how to do it. Now, let me introduce you to a couple called Claire and Danny. Well, Justin met this couple who had become frustrated by other training courses that kept content behind to sell on another course. Within months of turning up to the Service Accommodation Academy, they now have 4 service accommodation units up and running, which are profitable service accommodation properties. They've built up an incredible relationship with agents who are pushing leads their way consistently. And the key thing here, guys, is that you don't always have to go direct to a landlord, especially if you're not looking to. If you're looking to buy them, great, and you know I commend you for it because that's going to be a long-term strategy. Now, you don't always have to buy them as Justin's identified. You can do it on a rent-to-rent basis, and providing that you know what to say and how to say it and how to put it across in a manner where the agent understands, that is the golden key. They will consistently keep calling you with deal after deal after deal. And she's now working on her 5th unit and has currently created a beautiful luxury apartment, which are all creating fantastic profits. She's now financially free. She doesn't have to worry about them. They're consistent, and she can do what she wants when they want. And here's one of the apartments that she's got now. Justin, what location is she in?
No, this is actually my apartment, Arsh.
Okay.
Okay. So if we go back to Claire and Danny, now do you mind if I don't give their location away? You can all check them out if you want to check them out. But the reason why I don't want to do that is because they have worked so hard where they are that I particularly don't want people jumping on them. You know, these guys are just absolutely brilliant, and they have worked so hard to create what they've created that, you know, yeah. So if I don't say it, it's only because as you know, hopefully it will tell you guys what I'm like, because I really, you know, cherish these guys because they had some hard times and they have now completely turned it around, and I'm just so proud of them. So yeah, but if we can go back to my one, that'd be great. Okay, so this is one of my ones. This is in central Milton Keynes. This is a 1-bedroom, 11th floor apartment, and as you can probably see from the view there, it has an hour's eye view of the whole of Milton Keynes. Absolutely stunning. Now this one, its occupancy rate is running at around the 87% occupancy rate at the moment, and a nightly rate of 125. In fact, actually, Tory's put that rate up now to 127. Don't be a sheep on this one, guys. Don't follow other people. And what I'm going to say now is very key. When we first started our business in Milton Keynes, rates were a lot lower. And we knew that the area had the demand to raise the platform, to raise the mark. And that's exactly what Tori did. And she raised the price per night. And guess what? We got it. And then guess what happened? Everybody else started following suit. So don't be the sheep, be the shepherd. Let people follow you. Demand, just be better than everybody else. So everybody has to follow you. So we do a minimum of 3 nights let. In fact, this one is just back on what we call the open market now. We've just had nearly 6 months of one particular guy staying in here for 6 months. Okay, you know, just so easy. We weren't even servicing this property. We wasn't giving him teas, his coffees. We were just doing one changeover, which is what we call the laundry per week. So we get 125 per night, so 127 now. It's running about 87%. So if we look at the figures here, we have, if we have this property 40% occupied, we will receive £1,520 a month. If we have this property filled at 60%, that's 2,280, and 80%, 3,040. Now, we pay 795. We actually pay slightly less than that now. We pay the standard rent for this property is 795 per calendar month. Now, this property is easy to get high occupancy rates, but look at those figures for yourself. The rent 795, which is, you know, I'm sure many of you, unless you're in central London, will be looking at it thinking, actually, the rents where I am here are exactly the same as that. Room rates, believe it or not, and someone mentioned room rates up in Yorkshire or wherever. Well, me and myself and Mark Bill was going to go up to Yorkshire to do some talks last week, and we was looking at hotels, and I was blown away at the prices of decent hotels and apartments. They weren't that much less. They was all out between £95 and £105 a night up there, and I was blown away by it.
So there you have it, guys.
Yeah.
So Justin's currently working on 87%. He's achieving well in excess of £3,040, where he's paying the landlord £795. The maths talks for itself. So just keep moving on. We're going to give away the golden rules to be successful in serviced accommodation. Now, one thing that you've got to do, as with anything, you've got to be key on your numbers and your figures and your deal analysis. Because if you get it wrong, as with anything, as with buy-to-let, as with HMOs, as with rent-to-rent, as with lease option, it can go wrong. But if you calculate it to a point and to the T, and have a look at the middle column here, you can see exactly to what point does it start making money, which will then determine or focus the mind as to how many times a month do you need to rent that property out for it to make money. Now, on the example that we've got on screen here, it will just about break even at 35%. Sorry, at 30%, it will still be losing £7.50 a month. At 35%, it will make money. You've got to take into consideration all the costs and all the setup costs. Now, there's some questions that you've already asked about setup costs. Take a note, so have a look at the spreadsheet here. Because one thing that we do give you is the deal analysis spreadsheet, and we'll be talking about a small workshop that we will be running in a short while. So, you know, remember, in here, Justin's put in the rent, the utilities, the nightly rate, the insurance, the fuel, the toiletry, the laundry, the cleaners, the average days that it needs to be let for, etc., etc. And then it calculates the occupancy rate. Then it starts to calculate, you know, the setup costs and what needs to be involved in there. Now, as with anything, when you package your service, you've got to be consistent throughout. Remember, we talked about service. We talked about consistency. We talked about cleanliness. Because if you're the same as everyone else, what's your USP? What's your unique selling point? You've got to be the best. Now, Justin talked about increasing the rents ever so slightly by £2. It puts him in a slightly different league. And as a result, everyone puts their rates up slightly more, and it increases the market rent, and it increases. Because to be the best, you've got to understand, and you've got to package your service and cut your cloth accordingly. You've got to know who your competitors are. You've got to make sure that you're offering more than them. You've got to make sure that the quality that you offer is not substandard. You've got to make sure that your support network is there so that if there is an issue, it can be resolved with quickly. You've got to make sure that your attention to detail to customer care is second to none. Because reviews will buy more business. More business will buy more business. And you've got to make sure that you're consistent. Because if one of your reviews says that you've got 5 out of 10, next one says 7, next one says 9, they've all got to be well within the 9 to make sure that you're consistently getting booked in, week out. And the devil is in the attention to detail. Making sure that you will always be winning business. Making sure that the people on the ground that's looking after this business on a day-to-day basis for you knows that exactly what your expectations are. Making sure that you've got manuals so that everyone knows what is expected from a cleanliness point of view. Making sure that the rooms are dressed accordingly, and making sure that they've got the mind map and pictures so that they know exactly what you're expecting. Have you ever been into a travel lodge or Premier Travel Inn, and all the rooms and all the beds are made pretty much specifically to a same standard? All the bathrooms have got one shampoo little bottle. All of them have got one conditioner. All of them have got one body wash. All of them have potentially got like a little plastic cup in a plastic bag. Imagine it. Now, last time you walked into a Premier Travel Inn, can you visualize that? This is all because it's come down to a manual. The manual that they've given the cleaners and all the people that change the linen as to exactly what they expect. And once you've set it up once, this is something that will literally just systemize and replicate and replicate and replicate. Now, from time to time, there are going to be a few damages. A lamp may get damaged. The sheets may get soiled. For whatever reason, it will happen. But all you do, by creating the shopping list, or you say, okay, that lamp's been damaged, all we've got to now do is go to IKEA, pick up it up, and this is a product code, this is what it is, this is how much it should cost, buy it, and it goes, and it becomes like a production line. The linen suppliers won't change, the sundry suppliers won't change. Every time we need something, it's literally, yeah, okay, we need 50 of those, boom, click, and it's done, and it will arrive the next day. Same with the sundries. And making sure that there's lots of fail-safes in place so that we consistently exceed expectations. Now, Justin, is there anything that you want to add to that?
No, I think you've absolutely nailed it, to be honest.
Because, like I say, guys, this with anything, everything has to be a system. Everything has to be a procedure, so that every time something happens, it's not a case of, oh, I better call Justin and find out. It's a case of, pick up the manual, what do we do? And it's the same for my letting agency. I'm very hands-off for my letting agency. If there's something that goes wrong, there's a procedure for it. They look up the procedure. If they still don't understand it, that's where they get in contact. Because I don't want to be the day-to-day face of it. I'd rather be going out growing businesses as opposed to running the business. I'm far better and I'm far more productive when I'm going out setting new things up and putting people in places so that they can run them for me as opposed to me running them. Now, everyone's asked, okay, so how do we get the bookings? Because there's lots of places, there's lots of things that we need to do. Now, a lot of the companies out there, well, the key ones are Booking.com, Airbnb, and TripAdvisor, as well as Lake Rooms and Silverdoor. Now, they're the ones that you're going to advertise and you're going to upload your properties onto, but you're not going to do it individually because there are channel managers that allow you to do that. And we've listed them all here for you. Avivo, Kigo, Alina, and Newbook. So all you've got to do is upload your photos. So you've got to create accounts with Avivo, Kigo, Alina, and and Newbook. And they will upload them. So it's pretty much like a central management CRM system. Once you've uploaded there, it will upload them all up there for you. Now, Justin, I'm going to just pass this back over to you because I want to talk to you briefly just about this before we then go on and start taking a load of Q&A.
Yeah, sure.
So, is there anything else that you'd like to add here? Because a few people said, well, how do we find corporate clients?
Okay, so if we're just going to go through the quick points on here first, Booking.com is going to be your bread and butter. They are going to get you pretty much 70+% of your bookings. They will charge you 15% plus VAT for the privilege of that. However, if you want to be higher up in the rankings, you can get higher up in the rankings. And how do you do that? Well, you can call Booking.com and you can offer them a higher percentage. That higher percentage will get you higher in the rankings. Likewise, with reviews. Your reviews are key. We ourselves don't pay any more to Booking.com to be higher in the ratings. However, we do have some of the, well, we have the best reviews in our local area. Therefore, what that does for us, it automatically pushes us up the rankings because of our review status. And that is the same with Airbnb. You can have like what they call like a hot host, which the better reviews you have, the better listing positions you have. TripAdvisor, everyone checks, you know, where do you check nowadays for if you want a review? So everyone goes to TripAdvisor. They now do all the bookings for you. You set all these to inquiries only. Then you have the more specialist sort of portals like Silverdoor and Citybase and so on. Silverdoor have actually just brought Citybase out for something like £6 million, which again will show you how busy Service Apartments is, that another competitor will buy another one out because they want the business. Channel managers, Avivo and Kigo will be more for the newer person. Then Alina and New Books will be for the more specialised provider because they provide much higher back-end marketing. And going on to corporate clients, how do you seek the corporate clients? Well, naturally, they will come to you as they come to you. We will go out searching for them. Okay, we will go into the HR departments. We will email the HR departments asking, can we provide? But most of them have a certain setup with a Booking.com, etc. So they will come via Booking.com. But this is the key. Your key is then to remarket back to those clients, making sure those clients are so happy they tell their other colleagues within their company who are also staying in the area. I need to go to Justin's Apartments. They are the best ones in Milton Keynes. So we get a lot of bookings now direct to us without us having to advertise. In fact, you know, our Booking.com fees are the smallest they've ever been at the moment because we keep our corporate clients happy and therefore they come back to us. You can offer incentives to the corporate clients. Once you've got the corporate clients, you can offer incentives back, i.e. cashback, Amazon vouchers. You know, they love Amazon vouchers. You can M&S value, whatever you want to do, you can have a point system, a bit like, I suppose a bit like Tesco's club cards. You have a point system put in place. The more stays you have or the more spend that you spend, you get X amount back as a thank you, as a return. This incentivized people. We had one particular gentleman from Spain that was mad on Amazon vouchers. And he would save his Amazon vouchers up every month, and at the end of the year, towards Christmas, he would cash them all in, have all his vouchers ready to buy all his presents. You know, because these guys aren't actually paying for it themselves, it's the corporate business. But if they can get a return off the back end of it, i.e. vouchers so they can buy their friends and family presents, then great. So that's really how you find the corporate clients, is by attracting them via the portals, and then once you've attracted them, you then keep them. But I suppose a bit like fishing. You put the bait out, you wait, you get them, then you keep them there by keep on enticing them with more goodies and your reviews and how you produce your business.
Okay, thanks for that, Justin. We're going to keep moving on because we've still got a fair bit to get through, my friend.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, now here's a great quote. I said, to succeed, you have to believe in something with such a passion that it becomes a reality. Now, just imagine back when in 2006, 2007, where both Justin and I both felt the brunt of the property market. If we didn't have passion and if we didn't believe in ourselves, would we still be here today? We've had to work damn hard to get back to where we are. And that could only have been succeeded. That could only have been achieved with belief and passion. And we've made it reality to a point where we're both financially free today. Now, if you want to duplicate Justin's success, now Justin, very quickly, and I'm saying within a minute, tell me about the sales journey for June 2016.
Okay, really, really quickly, and because it will speak for itself, you only have to look at the figures. That is a sales sheet for a 24-hour period from the 6th to the 7th of June. They are bookings that I put through on that day into the invoice system of £18,556. There you go. Was that quick enough?
They're the bookings. If you look on the left-hand side, there's the dates. There's the invoice numbers, the customers. As you can see, one of them's a doctor. There's the amounts that they've paid. And it speaks for itself. And that's bookings over a 24-hour period. Now, how many guys that we've got online have taken 18.5 grand on 24 hours on their buy-to-lets or their HMOs? It's pretty much unheard of. But on service accommodation, as you've got a number of units, this will happen for you. And all you've got to do is go in some of the forums, and there's people blogging in there every day. I've just taken a £500 booking. I've just taken a £700 booking. I've just taken a £2,000 booking. Now, this isn't just in success. This is a system that we've created that is now turning a lot of people into cash flow machines. And the beauty of it is this works nationwide. Now, it depends on where you are. Every area has got its distinct benefits. Now, for argument's sake, I've just taken a property at what? I've just sourced the property down in Pembrokeshire. And Pembrokeshire is, and that's where Mark Bill's from, apparently. I only learnt this last week.
Yeah, that's really good.
Right in the West Wales. And it's got a thriving tourist attraction, and we're just in the process of taking on a 9-bed HMO in that location, but we're going to be running it as a service accommodation unit. So, and then for argument's sake, if you have a look at Manchester, you've got to look at lots of things. You've got to have a look at the events industry. You've got to have a look at the tourism industry. You've got to have a look at the shopping industry. You've got to have a look at the entertainment industry. And all these will have peaks and troughs, hopefully at different times of the year. But this will be fantastic for you because it will mean that you will have a consistent demand throughout the year. So hopefully that's answered a few questions as to, can this work in my location? Because someone said, can it work in Birmingham? Have a look. Birmingham's got one of the biggest shopping centres in the UK. It's got the Bullring. It's then got the NIA. It's then got the ICC. It's then got a number of different event strategy organisations that run events all throughout the year, and they get worldwide international superstars there. Like for argument's sake, we had Rihanna a couple of days ago, and then previous to that they had Adele, and so you name it. But people, thousands of people flock to the city to get these. And if it's not a city, let's say it's a small tourist town, tourist towns will always remain popular. And remember, with the Brexit, they will only get busier. Now, everyone, I'm assuming, recognises this person on the left-hand side, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, there are two things you must first master: sales and marketing. Because believe it or not, with service accommodation, they're the two key things that you need to know. How to market your property and how to generate the sales. So here's what we're doing. We're offering a 2-day service accommodation masterclass. And in the 2 days, we're going to give you 2 full days of proven systems, support and solutions where you get to enjoy a positive forward cash flow and no bad debt strategy, where we give you the operation processes and templates. Remember, we talked about templates earlier on. We're actually going to give you the templates so you don't need to create them for your quick start, where you get online and offline acquisition techniques. We actually, on the day, do live calls to agents to allow you to book viewings for properties in your locations. And we also show you how to handle objections. So that if you haven't got a property, or if you don't know if you've got a property that will work in your location, What we'll do is that in your location, we'll call an agent on the day and arrange for you to book a viewing. We'll show you how to do the research, which will show you whether your area, which will be your gold mine area. We'll be looking at the legislation, the obligations and the responsibilities. And there's also online community support. So the training doesn't just stop there. So from the moment that you leave that weekend, it's not just like that. That's it. I've got to now go off and do it. We'll add you into an online support community so that every time you've got a question, load it. But more importantly, you'll have both, mine, Justin, and Mark's mobile numbers. Feel free to give us a quick call if you come across an issue. Now, the total value of that is well in excess of £6,000. It's going to be held at the Jury's Inn at Milton Keynes on the 16th and 17th of July. Milton Keynes is a central point. If you're based in London, you can get to it. If you're based in Birmingham, you can get to it. If you're based in Manchester or Scotland, a train will take you directly there. And here's some of the workshops. Now, here's a workshop that actually Justin ran today. He was actually running a rent-to-rent workshop today. And he had quite a few delegates on there. As you can see, it's quite an interactive workshop, and you'll be working in groups, and there'll be some breakout sessions where you'll go off and make calls as well. Now, like I said, there's going to be a lot that you're going to be thrown in there. Just to reiterate, you can we'll be giving you the service accommodation academy. We'll be giving you the management agreement templates. We'll be giving you the online progress community, the deal analyzer spreadsheet so that you can see if it works, the rent-to-rent business planner, the service accommodation setup shopping list, and the terms and conditions template so that you don't get it wrong so someone can't come back to sue you. That in excess is well in worth just short of £5,000. But here you go, guys. You can have the whole weekend for $12,970. So we're not asking, and for $12,970, guess what, guys? You're going to make your money back in one deal. You get to spend the weekend with Justin and Mark and myself. We're going to be showing you exactly what to do, how to do. And here's something that I threw in today. We've never done this before on a service accommodation workshop. For those that thinking, well, I want to get involved, but I don't have all the money up front, I'm going to break it down for you. So you can pay in one payment straight away, or you can break it down in two payments. There's 3 weeks away. We're 3 weeks away from the workshop now, guys. So if you need to break it down into 2 or 3 payments, we can do that. And all you've got to do is go on the website below, arshellahi.com/SA, which stands for Serviced Accommodation. And that will take you to a booking form, and just so that you know it works. Page like this. And if you want to break and pay the full amount, second one is where you pay it into 3 payments. And that will allow you to do that. And whilst what we'll do is I'll take this opportunity now. I'll take the opportunity now to answer any questions. But the one thing that we are going to do, and it's only just come to my mind, is that if for whatever reason you can't attend in person, the one thing that I will do, which I do with all my workshops actually, is I'm going to live stream the event from Milton Keynes. So as you're watching it now, you'll actually be able to see the video, exactly what we do. Naturally, we want to see you there in person. But if you can't make it there in person yourself, how about you sit in the comfort of your own home, but still you get all the content and everything as if you were in the room. You get to ask questions, Justin and Mark will answer it as if you're in the room. You will get all the workshop material as if you're in the room. All that would have been emailed to you prior to the event. So we're giving you 2 options. You can attend in person, or you can live stream the event from the comfort of your own home. So that's, and the cost of it is the same because you're getting the exactly the same content. So, Amjad, Justin, I'm going to ask you a load of questions now. So,
Yeah.
Amjad, and I'd like you to answer these pretty promptly because I'm just on time at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Amjad, but how do we find these locations for ideal serviced accommodation?
Okay, so really quick, to what the type of things you've got to be looking for is who's around you. So if I'm looking at mine, I will do what they call a 10-minute rule. I will pinpoint where the property is that I'm looking at, and around that I'll be looking for what I call the 10-minute rule, which is a 10-minute walk, 10-minute drive, a 10-minute bus drive, bike ride, etc., or 10 minutes to the local motorway or train station. Now, once I've identified that, I will then be looking at who is around me, what employers are around me, who is likely to be going to take my apartment. Is it going to be the big corporate companies around me, or is it going to be holiday seekers or weekend pleasure seekers and so on? So that is how I would be, just in a nutshell, how I'd be identifying an area, would be looking around to see who my main customer base. For me, it's more important to fill Monday to Friday than it is to fill a weekend. That's my bread and butter. So I'll be looking at, right, who's going to be in my apartments Monday to Friday. It is the corporates. So I'll be looking at who are the corporates, how big are the corporates, how many employees do they have. All this information, by the way, guys, is readily available on the internet for you. You can search any employer and find out how many staff they have there. And bearing in mind the way the world or this country has gone, most of the staff that are in there are on 0-hour contractors now. So they are literally from all over the world and all over the UK, just come here to work.
Okay, great. So, Justin, sorry, we're just going to keep whizzing through the
Yeah,
questions.
you just fire
So,
them along.
a couple of people said, well, they've already got existing HMOs. How easy is it? And, you know, with regards to planning, etc., how does the council view that, and how could they turn their existing HMO into service accommodation unit?
Okay, so how do you turn you've got a couple of choices. You can either let it out by the room, or you can let it out as a whole unit. And if you let it out as a whole unit, you let it out as a whole unit, i.e. to 4 or 5 men or 2 men, whatever. But my guess is your HMO is not earning you 150, 170 pounds a day, is it? So you could let it as a whole unit, that, or you could split the rooms down and let it out, let's say 30 to 40 pounds a night per room. You know, I know I've trained people that have gone and done that. I've trained people that originally took it on as a HMO, as a rent-to-rent HMO, and it didn't work. So therefore, they had no alternative but to do this model. I never trained them, by the way, to do that. They were trained by somebody else, but they then attended one of my courses, and I looked at their problem for them and said, right, okay, you need to get off that strategy straight away, and this is what you need to do. You need to get that as a service accommodation ASAP, and it will make money. And yes, it made money. Now, we've run a couple like that where we either put one lot of people in there and run it as a service accommodation like that, or in one of our ones over near Bedford, in Bedfordshire, we trialled that first of all, and we let it out by the room. And I was thinking, oh, is that going to work or not work? And do you know what? The rooms were just pinging out. You know, we made as much money on one room. So let's say my room was going to be that particular room was £420 a month. In the first 14 days, I took over £700. So just think about that. Think about that.
Okay. So keep moving forward. So just for argument's sake, Roger's asked, with regards to planning, what classification does it sit in?
It sits in C1. It sits in C1. However, serviced apartment, service accommodation is really in a class of its own. When I've approached the council with this, and this is why it takes over a lot of different things, and it is great for, you know, if you do have problem HMOs as well, because it actually falls into a category that councils don't actually know what to do with it. So the actual proper classification for it is C1. But for example, all the properties where I am in Milton Keynes are all individual apartments within individual blocks. and the council have asked for none of those to have change of use to C1. They just on standard standard planning.
Okay, fantastic. So keep moving on then, Justin. Someone said, what's the kind of setup costs, for argument's sake, to get the property up and running?
Okay, this is the great thing about rent to rent. Okay, if you're going for a high-rise apartment in a block, very often these apartments come already fully furnished to a high standard from the landlords, because that is how you let a fully furnished apartment in a high-rise block, a luxury apartment. You have to let them fully furnished, otherwise you don't get the clients. So very often the properties that we take on, the actual outlay is very, very low. For example, I'm sitting in one now in Manhattan House. Now, the bed is the landlord's, the sofa is the landlord's, and other bits and pieces of the landlord's. The only things we really put in here was the microwave, the toaster, the kettle, the TV, the odds and the mats, the pillows, and the cutlery and stuff like that. But all the white goods are in here, everything. So, in effect, did we have to spend much on this? Probably not much more than £600. However, you are going to get some that you're going to need to furnish from top to bottom, and that could possibly cost you as much as £3,000, maybe a little bit more. But very often with the rent-to-rent strategy, especially on service accommodation and especially in apartments, you could very often find apartments that are fully furnished to the standard that you need. All you have to do is make it look nice. It's amazing, especially with my wife Tori. It's amazing what she can do with the place. You'll go in and all the furniture will be here and it will look like really glum. She will work her magic, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that is stunning, and that's using the stuff that's already in here. It's just about thinking about it.
Okay, cool. So with regards to, sorry, just going on there, specific buildings insurance?
Yeah, again, I'm not a specialist on this, and therefore I'm not qualified to talk about it. You will need specialist insurance. However, we have the Intelligent Housing Group have their own insurance company that will give you the specialist insurance that you need for this. Now, I'm not qualified to talk about it, and actually at the Rent to Rent weekend this weekend, we actually had the girls down from the Intelligent Housing Insurance Group down with us to talk to all of our delegates about the importance of insurance and the importance of different contracts you use, and what will invalidate an insurance and what will make it valid, etc. So yes, you do need a specialist one. I can't give you advice on what to have because it has to be by a specialist.
Okay, no problem. Right, a couple of people are asking about what does the landlord do the landlord worry when you take the property on and then let it out by the night or by the week as opposed to by the month?
Yeah, they do, and it's quite a common question that we have from landlords. But you have to. This is where your sales skills come in. You have to make them aware. You have to talk to them about the property. Make them aware that look, in fact, the property is going to have less wear and tear because our clients are only coming in Monday to Friday. They're going to only be here from 7 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the morning. When they move out, we're going to clean it. So your property is not only going to be cleaned. Well, let's look at it. If you have a standard tenant, and ask the landlord this: your standard tenant, when you've done the last check on it, did you find dust? Did you find dirty grease on the side? Did you find whatever? The likelihood is going to be yes. However, these apartments are cleaned on a daily, every other day, or weekly basis. So in effect, we're only adding value to the property because we keep the property looking like a show home. So if or when the landlord or landlady ever wants to sell the property, viewings are going to be done as it is as a show house or a show apartment. So we're only ever going to add value, and that's what you need to get across to the landlord, which will put their mind at rest. You also put their mind at rest by saying, look, at the end of the day, if anything happens, I'm putting it right. I have insurances in place that will cover you, that will cover the apartment, etc., etc. Just about answering every question correctly with a positive outcome.
Okay, so great. So Fabio's just asked a question: is there a discount if two people do the course? I think me and Justin spoke just before the webinar, and we'll allow the second person to come for half price. And the way that you can do that, guys, I'll just quickly show you so that you know that you don't get it wrong. Is that for the first person in full, and then pay the first instalment on the second pay, because it's split into two payments naturally. So you'll be paying 1.5 payments. So it'll come up as two transactions, but then if you can send me an email, which you will naturally send me an email, just saying that, yeah, hi, it's Fabio, I want to bring my business partner, this is his name, and we'll make sure that we get you registered onto the event. So hopefully that helps, Fabio. There's quite a few people that's interested in coming on. Okay, so this is probably going to be one of the last questions, because I think we're kind of running over time. So Rosalind has said, what if your area that you're looking at doesn't seem to have any serviced accommodation, but there's quite a large growing industrial estate? How would you test? Now, the one thing I'm going to say to you, Rosalind, is that there's nothing wrong with putting up a dummy ad. Would you agree, Justin?
Absolutely, and this is how we always test an area. We always test a dummy ad. Now, unfortunately, you're not, and you have to be very careful with this, you're not going to get the massive outcome that you're probably going to be expecting, because you can't put a dummy ad on places like booking.com. The reason being, if you do that and you get a booking, you have to honour that booking. If you don't honour that booking, then booking.com will then go and place that guest in another apartment, and charge you for the pleasure, by the way. And if that booking is above your room rate or what you've advertised for, they will also charge you the difference. So you could be out of pocket for quite a lot of money. So you test on places like where you can set to inquiry only, like Airbnb and so on. But they are the type of places you can test. Are you going to get much response from those? Possibly and possibly not. You know, as I said, booking.com is your main one where you're going to get a lot of the business. But likewise, I will be able to look at your area in different ways that you won't be able to look at. Is it Roslyn, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be able to look at your area in ways that you won't be able to, and I'll be able to teach you how to look at that area to find out. You know, a young colleague that I helped her is now one of on our partner program, one of our JV partners. Now, when he was looking at his area, he couldn't find any apartments at all, and that's because they were big companies, and they advertised on specialist sites, which I know about. And I went into those sites and found them and said, okay, well, you've got this one here, this, and this is the room rate where they are. You're on a crest of a wave, and if there's hotels and that around as well, you bet your bottom dollar you will get bookings, full stop, because the UK at the moment has a shortage of short-term stay, a shortage. There isn't enough hotel space in the UK, full stop. And at the moment, service departments is on the crest of the wave, and it's picking up and it's gaining momentum. And I believe service departments will overtake corporate stays will overtake hotels for the corporate stays very, very soon.
Okay, so I think we've pretty much answered all the questions. A lot of the questions were replicated because they're asking about integration. Actually, Chris has asked one question. How do you integrate the booking with booking.com and say Airbnb so bookings get removed from each site?
Yeah, that's really easy. One of the things we'll teach you how to use a good channel manager. Your channel manager will do exactly what you've just asked. It will take your property, it will then spider leg it out to every single portal that you want it to go on, and then it will go from there. But again, that's something that I'll show you how to do.
Sorry guys, one thing I forgot to mention is that all our workshops, or all the workshops that I offer, all comes with a 100% money back guarantee. So here's how it works. It's for any reason whatsoever that you aren't completely satisfied at the end of day one, all you got to do is send me an email, and I'll personally guarantee you a complete refund. And I've offered this out to all of our workshops that I've run over a number of years, and I personally guarantee you that the content will be second to none. More importantly, if you're not completely satisfied, I will spend more time with you to make sure that you are at a point where you are up and running. So if you like the thought of that, so we're pretty much saying to you guys, if you don't like it, you can have the content from day one, and you can get your money back. And again, finally, there's the link to book on, guys. So actually, Naz has just put, sorry, Justin, have we got any other dates for for the future?
We're possibly going to be looking at November, aren't we?
Okay, so there may be one in November, and what you can do, we will be running one later on in the year. And if you can't make this date, I appreciate it's 3 weeks away. If you can't make it, what you can do is secure your price at today, and what you can do in the booking, say, unfortunately, I can't make this one, but what we can do is we'll put you on for the next one. So hopefully that will help you out, Naz. On that note, guys, if you do want to have a chat with me, you're more than welcome to give me a quick call. If you want to know a little bit more content on the workshop, more than happy to have a chat. I was going to put Justin's mobile number up, but I'm just conscious of the fact that he's spent the last 2 days working on a rent-to-rent workshop. As always, you can find myself on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And you can also find Justin on Facebook. He's very vocal on Facebook. And he's always happy to help where and as required.
Arsh, can I just say quickly that if they go onto my Facebook page, they will be able to find a live recording from last week that I took during the night from one of our apartments, and I give a lot of good tips on there. It's about 45 minutes long, but it was a live recording, but it's still on my Facebook page if they want to have a look.
Okay, fantastic. So, sorry guys, someone's just put, can I have the link again, which I will do. There we go. So guys, I think that's pretty much about it on that's pretty much about it from the answers and questions. Hopefully it's give you something to think about, because obviously this is well, it's a strategy that hotels and service accommodation providers have been using for a number of years. Landlords and investors have now got to start thinking about new ways how to extract as much cash flow out of their properties, as much out of their investment as possible. Now, if you like the thought of that, again, we are running it on the 16th and 17th of 16th and 17th of July. And if you can't make that one, again, like I said, Justin would say we'll be running it again later on in the year. Justin, what's your Facebook page name? It's just Justin Whittemore.
It's Justin Whittemore. Yeah, just Justin Whittemore. Yeah.
Okay, so WHITTEMORE.
That's right.
So I'm assuming you're going to get a few Facebook requests tonight. So on that note, guys, I'd like to thank you all very much for your time. I've had a fantastic time. Justin, have you enjoyed it?
Absolutely brilliant, Arsh. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem. And let's see what we can do. I'm hoping that we get to meet quite a few of you on the 16th and 17th of July. If there are any other questions, feel free to call me, feel free to email, and let's see what we can do and hopefully get you on your way to financial freedom.
It'd be great to see you all.
Have a good night. Good night. God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.